Hi gang, welcome along to our interview. We have a special interviewee this week. We always said that we were going to do special interviews, so this is our first outside interview, or outsider interview. We had a special last week with Mark Hovart, but he was a club member as well. So tonight we're joined by John Phelan. John, thank you very much for coming along. John is the Bike Fit Physio, and he's kindly agreed to come in, give us a quick chat, go through a bit of a lowdown on Bike Fit, positioning, all things like that. So we're looking forward to this. Thanks for coming along.
Well, it's nice to be here because my sister lives down the road.
Oh yeah?
So I'm not a total blow-in, like, you know, she's married into the
Half
locality.
of us are blow-ins around here. So we just go through a bit of a general chat about your background, where you came from. So the Bike Fit Physio, give us a quick overview.
A quick overview would be, it was born in Edinburgh. I was over there anyway in Scotland with working, and then my friend said, geez, you might like that talk. It was like a talk on the science of cycling. Went along to it.
Oh yeah?
And then we said we'd kind of bring it into the private clinic I was with. And I actually, just on that topic, my first bike fit was a disaster. Like,
really?
I must say it because I just think it cracks me up. The guy came in with his bike, and then he's like, we put this up on the turbo trainer. I was like, yeah. And I was there like taking off the back wheel, but the turbo trainer was a wheel on one.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I think I need to just check the wheel first before we just bluffing my way through it. But that was 2015, and then.
So you were a physio before
Physio anyway, yeah, working away in Edinburgh, and then I said, Jesus, this could work, and just came up with the website, and when we came home 2016, that was it, started it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, you've a background, or not a background, you're into triathlon yourself?
Yeah.
I've lined out against you, I think, once or twice, here and there. Trigomna, I think we were in Dungarvan as well, did I see in Dungarvan?
Yeah, 2019.
Say we're close enough?
You have a bit more of a kind of a leg span on
okay, where are you based? Where's your clinic?
I'm at the back of the airport in Cork, so I was in the city, but I decided to move out, more space.
Yeah, we were just talking beforehand. I've done a bike fit with you in your old clinic, and I think a lot of the guys some of our guys in the group have.
Yeah.
It's not just simply bike fit you do, is it?
No, because it would have been originally physio, and then I went into bike fitting. But now, really, I'm starting to kind of branch out. There's actually a good chance to even tell the viewers about this new service that I have. It's called a bike sizing service.
Okay.
So if you are looking on websites trying to find the bike that suits you, this would be a good option to come to first. It's like you just come in, we take actual measurements using a kind of a system, you know.
Yeah.
And then we can plug that into a database that I've kind of paid for a privilege to access it. German company knew what they were doing. They created a big, huge database. So now you can find out what frame size suits you before you go buying it. So
it can be a minefield for people, can't it? Yeah.
Unreal, yeah. I'm only starting to look into it now that, like, you know, each manufacturer has different frames, and I've got a tutorial with these guys next week, so I'll be ready to roll that out, that service.
Yeah.
And then another one would be my fitness testing I've started doing. With, you know, gas analysis, good standard of fitness testing.
All right.
So VO2 testing and
on the bike
or the treadmill.
On the treadmill.
And actually, you can go outdoors with it. With a friend of mine wants that he's going to be my test dummy to take it outside on the track because it's portable.
Oh yeah.
So you get a bit more realistic kind of.
What
results.
Feedback does that give you then to give to the client?
Loads, like, because you don't just get VO2 max. You're getting the likes of hyperventilation. It's picking up your breath through the mask, so you pick up someone who's breathing too much in lower zones. You get your zones based on metabolic kind of factors, not just based on like a percentage of your max heart rate.
Okay.
And your fuel source, like when you have your crossover, fat carb crossover, all this stuff is good. Like, it's good, and you can find actually how many calories you're requiring in a race. You know.
Yeah.
Based on like whatever watts you want to try to hold. You can then work out how many calories you need.
I think that could be one of the major stumbling blocks for people in a race, like, can't it? Not enough.
Yeah. Because that's I'm actually kind of teaming up with a fella called Evan Lynch. Hopefully, he's proper qualified dietitian, nutritionist.
Okay.
So I don't want to try to take on everything because I'm kind of finding myself seeing some athletes, and I call myself like maybe a light coach. Like, I just want to test them, give them some areas to go in and improve on, but not like provide like a full coaching or full nutrition.
Okay. Okay.
So that I'm trying to link up with coaches and
give a good overall,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So in general, what does a bike fit consist of? So if just say somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, if they come into you, what's the routine? What's the setup?
Yeah. So the routine, well, you know, if you remember now, maybe I've come on a bit since then.
Okay.
So, but I would have done the bones of it, which would have been check the person before you stick them on the bike, because that's where the physio comes in. So I'll look for like flexibility is a big one. Like you wouldn't realize it, but hamstring dictates your seat height. So if your hamstrings are mad tight and you can't go down and touch your toes, your seat height will not be optimal, you know, until you've improved that. So I check for like flexibility, movements, strength, see how if they're able to, if there are any areas they could improve on. Then we get them on the bike, and that starts with like shoe cleat position.
Yeah,
that
was one of our questions from one of our team actually, about cleat position.
Yeah, we can get to that, and then we do pop the stickers on certain landmarks, and then just start to shoot the video to record them cycling. And that's probably improved since you were in, because I've got like a new kind of software that we'll just kind of pick up all the angles, and then I'm using saddle pressure mapping. Did we have that? I think we did
have that. Yeah. I think mine was very red.
Right.
But I was in a different life. That hasn't been for a while. A spinning instructor.
Yeah.
You were saying that I was getting fierce force on my saddle pressure, but I wasn't feeling it because I was on a spinning bike 4 times a day.
Yeah.
So that was.
This is it. Like you don't have to run away from red if it's not causing an issue.
Yeah.
But red is like high pressure basically on a saddle map. Some people that will cause irritation. So we use saddle map as a way of like guiding the bike fit.
Yeah.
You know, and to get stability as well, which has been a thing that you can get from it. And actually, I've just pushed the button on foot pressure mapping.
On the pedal.
Hefty enough price, but I think it's well worth it. Yeah, it's on the foot, inside the shoe, and you're going to pick up how stable the foot is inside the shoe.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a whole area there that like I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into, because it's like people getting foot issues, you know, it's very common.
Yeah.
Hot foot, kind of like just not happy inside their shoe, and a lot of times the shoe can just be too small. But at least with the foot pressure mapping, you're going to be able to see it. You know, you'll see, oh look, that shoe is causing your foot to kind of buckle almost, you know? And just it would be nice to kind of have that definite answer, you know, keeping it transparent really is my thing.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the question, how you do bike. Then you finish up with measuring the bike out and making the changes, and then write up the report.
So it would never be a dramatic change. Is it small increments, or would you see somebody that has to go a good few mil, or?
Oh, like 40 mil
inches?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you'll make a decision then based on if they have like not you don't think they're going to have that flexibility to cope with that big rise, then you go up in thirds, like tell them to go up eventually.
So in terms of bikes then, what do you find is the most popular at the moment? Are people, like, we know that bikes have evolved massively even since I was in, are there more TT bikes out there, road bikes? And what type of people come to you? Is it novices?
So
serious competitors?
Yeah, well, okay, let me think. So I had this is my claim to fame, you know, you might know, he was the top A1 cyclist in 2019, Conor Hennery. Now, I will say, I had to ask, I maybe pleaded with him to come down and have a go at my service. I was at a Halloween party down Garvan where I'm from, and he did come up, and it was cool, like, to see, like, hugely talented,
professional at his sport,
proper, he's an incredible, like, talent, you know, and just to see him on the bike and doing a bike fit with him, that was tiny little changes, and I was a little bit like, do I want to do this?
Should I touch
him? We were okay with that. And then I had, like, the other day, a girl came in with her Dutch kind of proper cruiser, like, you know, with the baby seat on the back, and she felt she was like maybe not going as smoothly, and that she was getting a kind of hand problems. So it can totally range, Dave, and like most of them before used to be, you know, the kind of, I suppose, the middle-aged mammal, but now it's girls, females, all age groups are coming into me. And then the bikes, they're obviously becoming way more kind of, you know, the new TT bikes. Yeah. But they're not really any different to, like, you know, treating or, you know, any other bike, you know, but they are getting a bit, and I'm having to find I'm having to upskill the whole time how to deal with these new bikes.
Yeah,
I
keep
tend to
up with the technology, yeah.
I just ask the owner, hopefully they know, like, because I can't, like,
Yeah.
they might, like, where are these, where are the Allen key?
Where are the adjustments, yeah. What are the most common mistakes you see in a bike setup? So if I brought in my bike that I just bought for €6,000 and I'm
Right.
flying around the place thinking I'm great, but I bring it into you.
Yeah.
Like, what are the most common mistakes people make in general?
Okay. I was passing this guy today. I was in town and there was a kid, like, you know, and you know when kids sometimes their saddle is like absolutely slammed down,
yeah.
so they can kind of reach the ground, and like you won't see it as extreme as that, but that kind of reminded me, like, oh, that is probably a common enough one, is that the saddle is a bit low, and they're just not getting enough out of the bike.
Your knees would kick out, would it?
Your knees typically kick out or in. They're just not going to really they're not going to really find a great alignment if the saddle is very low.
Yeah.
What's quite interesting there actually is people used to think that when the knee was too bent that would cause extra force, and that's why you might get knee pain, because we know that a low saddle can give knee pain.
Yeah.
But it's actually down to when the saddle is low, the knee will go a bit wonky.
Yeah.
And it's that wonky movement that gives the knee pain, not the extra forces. So bit of kind of research thrown in there, but that's probably the most common thing, like low saddle, which will then have a knock-on effect on a kind of a bendy. Because if your saddle is low, you're going to be a bit more banana shaped, because you're not up high and falling down into the handlebars. You're a bit more this way,
so it affects you the whole way up.
Yeah. Then you have another one behind that, might be hand numbness, is very common actually, and it can be simply down to just having a bit too much of an extreme angle down to the handlebars. So now there's an extra force going down, and that can give numbness, you know.
Would that have the same effect on TT bike, on the being down on the bars?
Actually, with TT you can tolerate more load because you're on your elbows.
Okay.
So there's much less force on the saddle. But with a road bike, you actually want at least half the rider's weight on the saddle.
Okay.
So that they don't have too much on the handlebars.
Yeah.
Because if you have too little on the saddle, you're going to have too much on the handlebars. And what's cool is that saddle mapping can tell me that. It detects force. So I can then ask the person, what's your body weight, and then we can get the balance right there from there.
Okay, so there's been a huge surge in triathlon and cycling in general. Is there an issue for you in the setup and the same type of style of bike? So from terms of a TT bike again to a road bike, if somebody brings in a road bike to you and gets set up on the road bike, it's a completely different setup than for their TT bike. Yeah. It doesn't automatically transfer across.
No, and I've had to almost watch that because I do a deal, like if you bring in two of your bikes, you know, and then I caught out rotten one day, the guy came in with a TT bike and a road bike, which are they're two very different kind of sessions. So like I now have to say, look, it's only two road bikes if you want to come in, because that's an easier transition, you know. Yeah. You've already got a good baseline on how to kind of set up their second bike, but no, like with a TT bike, it's a whole different kind of. You're looking for different angles. You're having to play a lot with more kind of variables. You've got like the height of the front of the bike. You've got the saddle can be a bit more temperamental. Yeah. You know. They're just different, you know.
I think with my TT bike, my bike fit on the TT bike, my saddle seemed to shoot up 4 or 5 inches from my road bike.
That's true. Yeah. Typically speaking,
I felt like I was like way up there.
Yeah. Typically speaking, like TT bike, you go higher and forward. If you want to simplify it, you take your saddle up and bring it forward. Because like the pedal is different. You know, you're pushing down more, so you want to be kind of over the center of the bike, pushing down. But the road bike is a bit more kind of back and down, I suppose. So you're behind the center of the bike, and so they differ mostly in that way.
What do you race on yourself?
I don't have a TT bike. I was almost going to do it. This girl had left it up for a second hand from the Cork Tri Club, and I remember there I was like, should I? And I was like, no, don't do it, because like I'm happy out on my road bike. Yeah. You know, doing triathlon. I don't know if I want to be. I'm kind of more into adventure racing, so my road bike's perfect there. It's an Olympia, like, you know. But,
Cool. So we have a couple of questions from members. I just kind of combined them all into one rather than going through it all. Regarding pre-cycle warm-ups. So what the best way to get the muscles warmed up before you get on the bike. And then we spoke about pedal efficiency and pedal economy, and you have shoes there maybe to show us on cleat position and stuff.
Yeah, so the first question, I would say it's less of a kind of an importance. With running, there is good evidence to say that if we do kind of activate some of the running muscles, it will help. So like, you know, the kind of like, you know, this kind of fire hydrant when or the doggy taking a pee, that kind of stuff is good for before a run, or you might simulate the kind of running movements.
Yeah.
But for cycling, I'd say just a warm up, you know, just get on the bike and just don't go mad straight away.
Yeah.
Definitely like kind of ease into it. That should cover you for kind of
Yeah, and I suppose it depends on the distance, doesn't it? So if you were going on a long cycle, your first mile or 2 miles would be your warm up.
Yeah. So I think I'd say save yourself the time and just hop on the bike would be my advice there. And then the pedal technique. Pedal technique
and I suppose pedal efficiency. Maximise your output from your force.
Yeah. So just what you're saying there, that's what the new foot pressure mapping is going to help me out with, because again it detects force. So there's going to be we're going to be able to look at force time plots. So we'll be able to see when you push on the pedal, your force is going to kind of go up and up as it approaches the 3 o'clock position.
Yeah.
That's the peak force. So what you want is like that kind of 2, 3, 4 o'clock position to kind of last longer.
All right.
And you'll see that peak on a force plot, you know. And so some people cycle, they're just kind of, they might reach a peak, but it might happen very fast. So just go and then down again.
Yeah. So you want to prolong.
Prolong the curve. Yeah.
Oh, and is that dropping a gear or?
It's not. It's more through pedal technique. So it's more like trying to go earlier than 3 o'clock. Try to push across from like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And that way you're going to have a longer kind of a peak curve, you know.
Do you gain momentum then from putting back up on the crank on the other side?
So that's shown as a waste of energy. The last time we checked the evidence, what's happening there is you're using hamstrings and hip flexors, right?
Yeah.
And they're not really designed to be a continuous muscle to be always pushing you on the bike. It's mostly your quads and your glutes that are going to do that role. Now the hamstring does play a role, but if you were going to overdo the back of the pedal stroke, you'll basically use up more energy than you'll get from it.
Yeah.
And so so it's not recommended. It would be a good technique on a temporary. I'll say you're going up the hill. Like I was out cycling this morning actually, and I was like, there's a hill there. Then I'll start to, because I know that the hill is going to end. Then I'll lay off.
So it's a short-term thing, yeah.
Just lay off it then, and then just go back to that kind of across the top pedal stroke, you know.
Yeah.
To try and get that efficiency in that way.
Cool. In terms of general cycling tips, I've written down nuggets of wisdom. We'll take nuggets of wisdom. Could you give us from, as before, pedal technique, handlebar position, we kind of talked about a second ago, body position, saddle and shoulder position, so the whole lot. So in general, like, that's a lot, no, I know. In general, for the least technical person, you know what I mean?
Okay. You know what's a good handlebar position? We didn't quite talk to. We said that there can be too much force on your handlebars. Yeah. But like, you will see the odd time someone will come in with a bike and the handlebars are literally just way too big. No, it's not something I routinely always check. But if you are suspecting that it's just a bit wide, you know, you can measure your width of the end of your shoulder bone here, and then just team it up to the handlebars, and the handlebars might be about 2 or 3 centimeters more, which would be fine. Or you could just like pretend to fall onto a table, and where your hands kind of land, it's actually a nice tip. That's kind of where you might be
going to hold you up the best.
Yeah. So you know, a tip around shoulders, right? Because I think I personally had an issue before, and there's a photograph to prove it. I'm on a mountain bike and my elbow's like that. So this left shoulder, and I still have issues with the shoulder, no wonders, because I used to always turn it in. So if you're on a bike, try to just point your bicep muscles forward. Because then what that does, it kind of keeps your elbows in. Rather than this way. So So that's kind of a handy little tip there. Pedaling then, like, I brought the shoes, right, because I just think, it's not that I think the evidence is very clear that cycling we should be using insoles. And like, from a physio, I totally don't agree with insoles on land. And they used to be a thing that was like, sort of referred like kind of willy-nilly and for no good reason, do you know? We used to be getting insoles. And
and they're not
they're not cheap. And they didn't have much evidence, but so I'd be kind of more into kind of minimal shoes and just kind of letting the foot do its thing on land. But when you're on a bike, you're kind of stuck inside in the shoe, so you don't get natural foot mechanics.
Okay.
So like, imagine that's my big toe. When the big toe extends like that, want to extend up when we walk, so we get a good firm foot. Whereas when you're in the bike, your big toe is just stable, doesn't move.
Okay.
So what happens is the foot is not as firm as it is on land, so it's prone to collapsing. The arch is prone to falling in. So the tip I can't stress enough for someone who's looking for more performance, more pedaling efficiency, is to go with an insole. And like, I brought mine along just to kind of give you a look at what a cycling specific insole is. So it's got a really firm
Is this specific to you?
No.
Okay.
This is a kind of a semi-custom one. I'm kind of doing them at the clinic because I just think they're just a big deal now, really, to get it in my job, in my kind of service.
Yeah.
So it's semi-custom, so you can use it for anyone, just the right size. But the fiberglass insole, arch support keeps the foot that way and doesn't let it kind of collapse in.
Okay.
Because if it does, when it will fall in for everybody, really, you're going to lose a bit of power because your leg is going to drop inwards.
Yeah.
So this will hold you up well, and then you have a little kind of 1 millimeter shim that tends to move the energy over towards the big toe, second toe, and that's where the pedal is. So you want
so you're pushing the power across.
Yeah. So it's a clever product, and that would be someone who's happy to spend a little bit more money on cycling, which already we're
something like that expensive.
€100 would be kind of retail price. Yeah. But they'll go for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah. That's good value, yeah.
So like that, I know personally myself what a difference it's made, because your foot just feels it doesn't give anymore. It's quite solid inside in your shoe.
Okay.
And so that is going to lead to performance gains. Any other tips? Let me see. Relaxed ankles. That's a good one. I think people tend to kind of push hard, like they're trying to push the bike hard.
Yeah.
And the foot can get firm, but it's not as effective as kind of relaxed ankles, light feet, spinning across, over the top and down.
That was something I was going to ask you earlier, actually, when you were talking about slowing down the curve.
Yeah.
So a loose ankle will do that for you, will it? So,
I just think it's a relaxed ankle is just going to be more associated with a kind of more of a spinning cycle, more of a across the top, whereas I think more of a stiff foot and ankle is a bit more of a masher.
Yeah.
And I think we now know that there's more efficiency gained out of kind of pushing across the top. That's why.
It's interesting. Okay, so
Roadrunner. Do you know Roadrunner?
Yeah.
I'm starting to use him as a kind of.
Not saying beep for you when you're going.
I don't know, but I mean, most times people know who I'm talking about. And he kind of had this kind of a run.
Yeah.
A kind of his legs would just go over the top.
Yeah. So
people can kind of relate to that and like, all right, yeah, Roadrunner. So that's kind of what my my kind of what you call it, character of choice would be for pedal technique.
Okay. Roadrunner it is. Okay, so back to triathlon and duathlon and getting off the bike. So we'll leave the bike for a second.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not sure about anyone else, but I suffer with my hamstrings in the first, say, mile of a race.
Yeah.
I'm definitely cramped. 1, if not 2. Maybe 7 times out of 10. Sometimes I get away with it, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Is there a technique? Is positioning off the bike into the run? Are we prone to something like that, or?
Okay, so when you said that there, reminded me of Dungarvan Triathlon. That's what happened to me, 2019.
Okay.
I cramped the hamstrings
in
the run. First bloody kilometre down the road.
Yeah.
and did kind of come back from it. And I don't think it wasn't like hydration problem, because I was kind of on top of that. And I was having a chat with my friend this morning actually on the bikes, and you know, he's doing a kind of a master's in sports nutrition, and he's also finding that it's not actually down to salts as much as we thought it was.
Okay.
So you know the way you can get like deficient in magnesium is definitely not a goer. So we can kind of forget about your magnesium tablets. They're not worth it. I won't go into it, but it's more of a sports nutrition thing. But salts, we don't think it's a big deal. Okay, it's still definitely worth making sure you have your electrolytes when you're on a big day. But it's actually more down to exposure to that amount of training. So I know that kind of where you end up in. So say coming from a bike onto a run, are you doing enough for that transition?
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's basically, if you're not training those kind of areas, then you can expose yourself to cramps. I've got a good one for you. Do you know at the start of a season, like on a football match, you might see a few lads like Kerry footballers lying on their back with their cramps, because at the start of the season, but at the end you rarely see it.
Okay.
It's because they've trained in, you know, and So basically what I'm trying to say is we think, and it's a very grey area, we think it's down to just not doing enough.
Okay.
In that area, like, you know, transition for you potentially. And the other one would be, are you actually training your hamstrings? They get neglected a little bit, you know, like actual strength training.
So I suppose when we do go out and train for triathlon, we might go and do the bike, and not like the race, we might have 10 or 15 minutes between starting to run, whereas you're trying to get your transition down to 30 seconds.
There you go, yeah. I think that could be where you could aim the next block of your war against hamstring cramps, you know.
Okay.
But here's the other one for calves, you know, they're another one that can go crampy on us. The evidence says that our calf / soleus, which is the muscle deeper behind the calf, should be able to do 25 reps times 3 sets, single leg heel raise, okay? So if we're not doing that, then we have we can't blame but ourselves, you know. So we should be able to do, try it at home. It's not easy, like, you know, about 18-20 reps in, you're burning up. I might show for the camera, but it's basically that. You know, your knee is bent. Ideally bend your knee, because that's more specific to cycling, because we don't cycle with straight legs or run with straight legs. So you bend your knee and you just you're looking at doing that kind of exercise, you know. And 25 reps, 3 sets, and that
each leg, obviously.
But that's actually not the total. Research shows that you should have at least half your body weight added on to that. No, that's extreme. People won't probably achieve that, won't even take it that far. But that's kind of what we need to be at to manage these kind of long distance triathlons, you know. Because that muscle really has a lot of work to do to push us forward, and on the bike as well. So
that kind of brings us on to my final bit anyway. You might have a bit more to add at the end. Is there exercises or stretches we can do to avoid hamstrings, calves cramping off the bike? You just went through that there.
I did that calf one, and when you're doing that calf one, make sure that you're pushing through the big toe and the second toe, because like we discussed earlier,
that's where the pedal is.
That's where the pedal is. You never want to be leaning on the outside of the foot, and that's where the foot pressure mapping will really pick up people who are, because you'll see it on the actual screen. You know, if they're leaning on the outside, and it'll help with positioning of the shoe and the cleat. Hamstrings, they're kind of neglected a little bit, like, because they'll be mostly doing lunges and step ups and squats and stuff. But you could do an isolated hamstring exercise, maybe I think a good one would be like an RDL, a very good exercise. You know, just kind of leaning forward, and just picking up a weight like that. That would kind of challenge the hamstring. And
so would your deadlift?
Deadlift, yeah. Oh no, not deadlift. Sorry, more of an it's actually more of a straight leg when you're looking. Deadlift to be a bit more glutes and quads.
That's it for me. Have you anything to add? You might give us your contact details and your website.
I will.
Members want to.
Some of the members have been already, like Matthew and Leona Brown have come down, and I'd welcome any more if you want to use this facility. I've got loads to offer. Running analysis is something we didn't cover.
Okay.
Using a kind of technology for outdoor running, which is good and nice, real way of looking at running, and testing as well as there. So I'm at thebikefitphysio.com and 086245143. Give us a call if that makes it, if it's a bit easier to do that. Actually, I just set up a new online booking because I'm trying to kind of come away a little bit from the admin. So online booking from the website is all there.
Cool. What we might do with things opening up a bit is get a workshop going with the members and stuff. Like run it through the committee and members and see if and when we can. We'll set up something. John, thank you very much for that. If you want to get in contact with John, he just gave you all your details there. Thank you very much.